Bienvenidos y welcome to the Biz Bruja podcast, where we're claiming our powerful intuition, our sacred medicina, embracing our magic and healing ancestral patterns, invoke powerful creations in our own well-being, our lives, familias, community, and our businesses. Remembering that our businesses are so important at this time. I'm the creatrix of this blogcast, the Biz Bruja herself, Vanessa Codorniu, a modern-day bruja, fourth-generation psychic medium, clinical hypnotist, energy healer, and soul biz mentor and coach. An Argentine-American who started reading adults at 16, became a professional intuitive at 22, and now guides creatives, intuitives, healers, and entrepreneurs to break through fears, connect to the practical power of their intuition so they can serve the world powerfully. Hello, everyone. Bienvenidos. I am so excited to be here today. I want to talk about Jupiter in Leo going in for another year and us releasing Jupiter in Cancer. So I have a couple of notes here. How have you all been dealing with the heat? My stance has been that it's not been that bad, but then again, I grew up in New York and traveled to Miami a lot, and I did not have AC whenever I traveled to Argentina in the summer over there. Their summer, not mine. And I don't know if you drink water and you take care of yourself, unless, of course, there's a health condition. But for anybody out there who's suffering some heat, keep yourself in the shade, keep yourself hydrated, keep yourself safe, and also know that we're more resilient than the internet would have us know. So Jupiter in Leo, your permission slip to be seen without losing yourself. So welcome back. Today, we're diving into one of the most exciting transits of 2026, 2027, that is Jupiter entering Leo. If you've been feeling like life has been asking you to heal, release, grieve, and rebuild over the past year, you're right. You know that this year, most planets shifted into a different sign. So change has been tremendous across the astrological web, right? Jupiter in Leo asks something completely different of us from what we have experienced till now. It asks, what if you stopped hiding your light? And let's breathe that in. What if I stopped hiding my light? A lot of us have learned to hide our light just because it's safer. We know about the tall poppy syndrome. We know if we succeed too much in something, or we've seen people be shot down, put down, attacked at the same time, or have people around us who maybe are not as driven or don't understand our curiosity or passion question us. But this is an important question to ask ourselves, because we've learned through inherited trauma, through stories that we've seen, and through witnessing other people go through this, that sometimes hiding is our safety. With Jupiter in Leo, it's kind of hard for us to hide. And so again, I want to ask this question: what if you stopped hiding your light? Let's breathe that in. So this is not about becoming famous. A lot of people think when they get a message from their higher self, and I've seen this for decades, I'm going to be like Oprah, I'm going to be like this, I'm going to be like Doreen Virtue. And I mean, let's face it, Doreen Virtue is not even like how Doreen Virtue was, right? Things have changed. We have to stop looking at shining our light as if we're going to get like 1 million followers on TikTok overnight. I mean, it may happen, and if that's what you want, I'm happy for you. But shining our light is really much bigger than that. It's much more nuanced. Shining our light allows us to become more fully expressed, to be fully embodied. It's almost like, I think, the sacred work of the soul. We're not here just to become rich or famous. It may be part of our journey. It may be part of our story. And that's wonderful, right? If those are our goals and that's what we're attracting, or that's our destiny. At heart, we're really, I believe anyway, and you can have your own thoughts on that again, we're here to really embody our spirit here in this third dimensional world as we become more fifth dimensional, as we truly remember who we are, where we come from, and nos acordamos, we remember how to continue shining our light even though things are not looking good, even though politically things are stressful, even though we're going through a tremendous change, not only with AI, not only the planetary shifts, of the violence around the world and the natural disasters. So among all that, Jupiter comes into Leo, and it's really more about your special magic, your special brand of light, your beautiful vibration, and less about fame. Now, what is Jupiter? When we talk about Jupiter, people are like, well, what is it? It sounds planetary. Well, rather than just calling Jupiter the planet of luck, I like to describe Jupiter as the planet of expansion. Some astrologers have called it the Papa Noel, the Santa Claus that comes in with all the gifts. And the thing is, though, at the heart of it, Jupiter just expands something. Whatever sign it's in, it expands. Whatever house it's transiting, when it's going through its own sign transit, because it will go through one area of your house, right? It will highlight, it will expand, it will bring opportunities for growth. Sometimes when it's in the first house, we may gain weight, so it's not always stuff that we may want. And so that's why we have to handle all these transits with awareness, with a knowing, so we can guide the energies, I think, and be able to tap into them to make the most of our transits. Now, whatever Jupiter touches, it grows. Sometimes it's wonderful, sometimes it's overwhelming. If you're living in integrity, Jupiter will expand opportunity. If you're avoiding truth, if you're afraid to hurt people's feelings, right, and so you're avoiding truth, maybe a little self-betrayal, Jupiter is going to expand the lesson, because Jupiter is also a teacher. It's the philosopher, the traveler, the storyteller, the mentor, the guide, right? It's the natural ruler of Sagittarius. Now, it's in Leo. What does that mean? Leo is ruled by the sun, and let's face it, the sun does not apologize for shining. El sol no pide permiso y tampoco pide perdón por brillar. It doesn't ask permission, it simply radiates. Leo reminds us that every human being was born carrying a unique creative spark, which is what I was talking about earlier. Each of us have a flavor, we have a spark, we have a gift to share with the world, and not everyone's meant to be famous. And I mean, recently I find that people are like famous for 5 minutes. I think somebody said that a long time ago. I don't know if it was Andy Warhol or someone else. They said it a long time ago that everybody's going to get their 5 minutes of fame. And if we've gone viral online, yeah, we've had our 5 minutes of fame. The thing is, it's more about shining. It's more about being embodied. It's more about allowing ourselves to create safety and create understanding around who we are and the flavor that we're shining and imbuing and existing into the world. Everyone is meant to express something only they can express. I really firmly believe this. Now, Jupiter, the planet of expansion, is going into Leo, which is, ruled by the lion. The symbol is the lion. It's brave, it's courageous, it's heart-centered, it could be bratty, so many things. But before we get into Jupiter and Leo and more about Leo, let's go into Cancer. So last year, we just ended that this a couple days ago. Last year, Jupiter was in Cancer. And Cancer asks different questions of us because it's watery, it's ruled by the moon, it is nurturing, it is connected to the mother, to intuition, to the sacred nourishment and nurturing. So the question that Cancer was really asking during that whole year was, how do I nurture myself? How do I heal? How do I belong? How do I create communities of belonging for myself? How do I self-care for myself when perhaps I've not been taken care of or I've been neglected by my family origin? How do I take care of myself now? So how do I belong? How do I heal? How do I nurture myself? How do I tend to my intuition? How do I allow myself to be comfortable without being so comfortable that I don't grow, right? Because a lot of people are like, oh, I'm not comfy doing this. I'm not comfy. And, I've been rude. I mean, when they're my friends, not my clients. Not with my clients. I have so much patience with my clients and I meet you where you're at. But with my friends, I'm like, so what? Fuck comfort, right? And it's because I've often picked things, situations, relationships, hobbies, careers that make me uncomfortable, but yet they invite the best out of me. And I know that's weird for a Taurus. I'm a Sun Taurus. Most Tauruses like to hold on tight to whatever they have. The thing is, we're not just one sign, right? So we may have Sun in Taurus, Sun in Leo, but there's a whole chart that defines us with tons of opportunities. And if you want to know more, just reach out and we'll book an astro potential session. But getting back to the episode. So how do I belong? How do I heal? How do I nurture? Now, Jupiter enters Leo and asks, who am I becoming? Right? Because it's shining. It's expanding. It's creativity. What wants to be born through me? Am I willing to be witnessed? This is the shift from being in the womb space of care and self-love and nourishment to now going to the next stage, right? The next stage, which might be the stage, but the next stage, which is you on the mic, you sharing your thoughts, you shining your light, you just walking through your life, being who you truly are authentically. Now, when we hear Leo, sometimes people think of performers, influencers, actors. This is not just about artists, right? This is the Leo energy that each and every one of us has somewhere on some house in our chart. So some area of your life and your psyche and your mind and your world has Leo on it. This Leo energy is the courage to bring your heart into whatever you do. And I want to share that again. Leo energy is the courage to bring your heart into whatever you do. So what you do, what your purpose is, what your light is, what your gift is, doesn't have to look like anybody else's in order for it to work, in order for it to vibe. You just have to allow yourself and do the sacred work to get out of your own way. And I know it sounds easier said than done. It's taken me a lot of years and through many different phases. I've had to go through so many phases to be able to just peel off the layers, right, of the inherited trauma, of the inherited fears, to fully be myself, fully out, being who I am and sharing what I love and what I do. So it takes time. There are cycles. We need to be patient. And I'm going to read it one more time. Leo energy is the courage to bring your heart into whatever you do. That includes teachers and therapists and parents and nurses, people, entrepreneurs, scientists, retirees. Everyone has a place to shine. The question is, where is yours? And as you breathe that in, right? Thinking about that, where is yours? I know that for me in my chart, Leo's on the 3rd, but it's a little bit in the 2nd, right? Because it's Placidus system. It's not whole house. So Chani does whole house, which would be my 3rd house of neighbors and short trips and communication. So in the next year, I'm going to write, speak, teach even more. That's what it would say. But it's because it's in my 2nd house a little bit. It's also saying that I'm going to see my worth and maybe also double my abundance. And so wherever your Leo is on your chart, your natal chart, and you can go and get a free natal chart and you see the little squiggle that goes like that. That's where Leo is on the house. Again, if you want a session, just reach out. Now, what does Leo rule? What areas? Leo rules joy, children, play, romance, performance, leadership, creativity, celebration, confidence, vitality, the heart. If you notice something, it's really all about something that requires vulnerability, right? In order to celebrate, it requires vulnerability, to lead, to perform, to have children, to reclaim our joy. And so Jupiter is asking, where have you been playing small? Where are you dimming yourself? What are you waiting for permission? What are you waiting on for permission for? The shadow of Jupiter in Leo. Let's talk a little bit about that. Now, every sign has a shadow. We talked about all the beautiful, shiny, attractive, amazing, the Leo mane, the Leo attitude, the glamour, the glitz, the performance, the love, the heart-centered passion and creativity. But Leo's shadow isn't confidence. It's when you're insecure wearing the costume. It's the imposter syndrome. It's when we're disconnected from our hearts. Then Leo can become someone who needs applause, someone who needs constant validation or the energy of constant validation, the energy of drama. It has to be dramatic in order to exist, right? In order for you to feel alive. And that comes from trauma, right? Performative authenticity, performing that you're authentic online, always making it about ourselves, attention addiction. That's why this transit is asking us again, can you be seen without needing everyone to agree with you? And that's hard, and that's where courage comes in. Because, when I put my play out there, I knew that it wasn't going to be everybody's cup of tea. People were like, oh, why did you call it a Spanish title, Perra Puta Loca Bruja? That maybe people weren't going to want to see it. We know that a lot of people who go to the theater and it's already in their culture are white. And I was taking a chance on people caring about a Latina's journey, people being, inquisitive enough, curious enough to say, well, I'm going to go to this show, even if this is not my culture. And it was also a deep invitation for BIPOC and Latinos and immigrants to come in and see themselves reflected in some way, right? Because it's a story of my ancestors and how they affected me and the healing that I had to go through in each of their stories. And so I had to be really brave there. And when I look at my life, and probably yours as well, you can look at your own life and see how brave you've been throughout. You've had children, you've gotten married, you left a country, you started college, you finished college, you didn't finish college, you started a business, whatever thing that makes your heart beat, that inspires you, you've had courage. And now during this Jupiter and Leo, you're being asked, can you step into it even if everyone does not agree? And we have a deep wound, I think, most humans, that we need to belong. And I mean, it's a gift. We want to belong. I want to belong. But at the same time, the wound would be that you're afraid of what people will say. In Spanish, el que dirán. What are they going to say? Keeping up with the Joneses, keeping up with the Gonzales. What if people don't agree with you? Well, let me remind you that people who are the outliers, people who are leaders, people who are visionaries, we get to be courageous and take risks before everybody agrees with us, right? And so I knew that I could have done a different play and that it would have brought maybe more people out. But I also knew that when I look at successful people that I admire, they became successful, and I'm talking about in the arts, because they did something different. And I did something different. Some of you met me in the year 2000, so you connected me with a lot of other healers that were coming on online. And maybe you were just starting your healing journey. And I think that most of you know that I grew up in a spiritual home, and I was reading people from the age of 16, pulling things out of people's body in my 20s, learning 4 different types of Reiki in my 20s, clinical hypnosis, got initiated at my early 20s into a goddess path, then went on to other initiations, including Inca medicine in the last 6 years. And so my journey has been long, right? It's not recent. And by the way, if yours is, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm saying in terms of a practitioner, in terms of a healer, we saw a lot of people pop up in 2020, 2022, 2021 who are just starting out, and that's okay because we all need to start somewhere. The issue I have is when people don't tell the truth, right? People are like, I've been doing this for years. I'm like, child, you're 18 and I know you just picked up the book. Or you're 27 and I know that last year you were jumping around saying you didn't believe in this. And so these are the things that are performative. We do not want that. At whatever time that we come to spirit, at whatever time in our lives and cycle and phase that we show up for our healing is the correct time for us. This moon, this transit, invites us to be authentic about it, invites us to tell the truth and to shine in that light of integrity. Now, there's something really interesting that's also happening right now. Pluto left Capricorn and then it went into Aquarius, which is opposite, right? So if you can see me right now, this is going to be Jupiter and Leo, the little one, and here's Pluto and Aquarius. They're opposite right now. That means that they're doing a little dance of opposition that invites us to see the push and pull of the qualities that exist outside of us and also within us. So Leo says, I am. Aquarius says, we are. Pluto asks, why do you want power? Why do you want visibility? Who benefits? This opposition reminds us that that our personal brilliance should benefit the collective, not just our ego, right? So that's the deep invitation. How does my personal brilliance also cause ripple effects to create positive effects for those in my family, those in my community, and then going further, those in my world and the world beyond? Now, the South Node right now is in Virgo, and it's going to be shifting soon into Leo because the North Node is going to go into Aquarius. I'm going to do a whole recording on that. The nodes, the South Node is a place where you bring in your past life gifts, your past life habits. The North Node is your current destiny, where you're moving to. This is where at the end of your life, you should already be existing and vibrating at this North Star, North Node energy, right? So South Node has been in Virgo. the North Node has been in Pisces, inviting us to have more compassion, more connection with each other, while the South Node has been like the critical energy. We are going to shift that. South Node's going to go into Leo, and then we're going to have the North Node in Aquarius, inviting us to care about other people, inviting us to understand that we are interdependent. No matter how many followers we have on TikTok or anywhere else, we are interdependent. We need each other. And so this could be a process of many healers, many business owners, many creatives, of letting go of the need for recognition, all right? For other people, it could be releasing the fear of being seen. Both are ego patterns. The fear of being seen is an ego pattern. The need for recognition is an ego pattern. One seeks too much attention, the other hides completely. And this is the extreme. Jupiter invites us into the middle. And this is like a really quick thing, this is just a quick tip. I used to see people doing selfies in 2014, 15, 16. I'd be like, oh my God, que se creen? What is that? Look how selfish. They're so self-centered. What is this? Now, if y'all know me, I'm always doing selfies now. What I realized, it was my fear to be seen. It was my fear to step up, to speak my mind and my heart, possibly be rejected, or possibly be rejected by how I looked or how I presented myself. What I realized, even like over a decade ago, was that people aren't here because I'm a model and I'm not an influencer. I'm not making money because I have so many followers that people are selling me, giving me products to sell. I am a teacher. I have a purpose. I have a calling. Therefore, the container really is not up for, in my mind anyway, in my heart, public scrutiny about the fads that are in today. Now, do some people who look a certain way get way more attention by the media? Of course it's going to happen. But at the same time, if your message is supposed to hit, it will hit. I know that I've been successful for 15 years, full-time online, making over 6 figures, and already in a shift of expansion in my business. And I was able to do that, and it didn't matter that I was in midlife. It didn't matter that I wasn't a size 0, that I wasn't a yogi. A lot of people who start with yoga eventually go into energy healing and then discover they're intuitive. I just started where a lot of people finish. That's something to think about. I started with the indigenous. I started with the homegrown spirituality. I started with the direct experience of my divinity, and then learned all the things like Reiki and tarot and Akashic records, hypnosis, all of the tools. A lot of people go through yoga because it's the most accessible one. It's the most new agey one that's offered to folks. And by the way, there's no shame about how anybody discovers anything. I'm just letting people know who do not know that this is kind of the path of what I've seen. People start with yoga, then they connect to their body, they connect to their soul, they start to feel intuitive. Maybe they go to Reiki, maybe they go to tarot, maybe they go to astrology. Whatever path you take, it is all good. But just remember, when you are gathering the courage to speak, your path isn't going to look like anyone else's. Maybe it does look like yoga, Reiki, etc. And now you found yourself and you're in therapy working on ancestral healing. Or maybe it's that you were already doing cleanses, you were already doing things at a young age, right? And not having them just done to you, but doing them, right? Both. And now you're owning your gifts. And so there's a journey for each and every human. One is not right, one is not wrong. But know that the focus that we see sometimes on social media isn't the one that is inclusive for all of our experiences. It only highlights the path that they've seen. And I'll tell you, so many people have put me down in the past because I'm a homegrown healer. And then, of course, I learned and I healed, and trained. And then you see that now they're honoring them. So everything changes. Be true to yourself. Continue to shine your light in whatever way. And I can say, even just for myself, how I've been successful in so many different ways by being true to myself. That doesn't mean I haven't cried, bitter tears, las lágrimas, but I still am shining my light. I am still fulfilling the sacred promise of my soul when I came into the body and I came into this life. And each and every one of us has a promise. And whether you have 10 children or none, whether you have a career or many jobs, whatever it may be, our calling isn't necessarily our career or our work. It's a deeper vibration. It's a deeper light, as I said, that we shine. And another time where we could have seen this deep invitation from Jupiter is if we look back to 2014, 2015. The last time Jupiter was in Leo and it transited, it happened during the summer, 2014 through summer 2015. So think about that. Where were you in 2014 to 2015? Because Jupiter takes about a full 12 years to go around the zodiac. So let's take a moment and think back. So I was traveling, people. I was teaching in Panama and I was teaching in Costa Rica in 2014, 2015. So that's where I was. I was really putting courses out there. I was getting known. I had a whole following in Panama, a whole following in Costa Rica in person. And so how does that, I want to travel more. I've been traveling across the country, but I want to travel internationally now into next year. So you never know. So feel into where were you 2014 to 2015? There could be some parallels now that Jupiter returns to Leo, going through the same transit, many years later. What creative dream began then? What risks did I take? How did I express myself? Who was I becoming? I'm going to repeat that again. When you think back between 2014 and 2015, what creative dream began then? What risks did I take? How did I express myself? Who was I becoming? Were you starting a business, launching a creative project, falling in love, learning confidence, stepping into healing, stepping into leadership? What were you going through? Were you going through releases? Were you going through shining your light? Were you going into hiding? Were you going into starting school, finishing school, ending a marriage, starting one? Jupiter moves in 12-year cycles. Sometimes we're revisiting themes from 12 years ago with much greater wisdom. So take that into account. So we've got to talk about Mercury because Mercurio retrogrado, Mercury and reggaeton is joining the conversation, has been in the conversation. Jupiter entered Leo, and then Mercury begins retrograde June 29th through July 23rd. So we're in it. Now, Mercury has a terrible reputation, but I think we've also misunderstood it. Mercury does not ask you to stop your life. It asks you to slow down enough to notice it, right? During these weeks, expect technology hiccups. There have been travel delays, miscommunication, editing, revisions, old friends returning, creative rewrites. So don't try to force a launch if you're a business owner. Don't try to force anything. Use this retrograde to ask, does this project really reflect my heart? Right? Is it still rooted? Or am I creating it because I think people will like it? Because Jupiter's in Leo, it's all about the heart. Is my heart still in the project? Or am I doing it because I want people to like it? Mercury retrograde in Leo is less about fixing logistics, and it's more about refining your voice and allowing yourself the space to ask yourself, well, what is my voice now? Not last month's, not last week's. We also have a Jupiter retrograde coming in, okay? So in December 2026 through April 2027, Jupiter itself will go retrograde. So the growth is going to become more internal. So shine right now, shine bright, do the thing. It's summer anyway here in the Northern Hemisphere, because then it's going to become much more internal. And so instead of asking ourselves, what can I build? You're going to ask, why do I want to build it? Why am I shining? What is at the heart of the message, the work, the energy I'm putting into the world? Some of our greatest creative breakthroughs could happen quietly during that time. So people have asked me, how do I work with Jupiter and Leo? This energy that's going to be around for 13 months. So these are some of the invitations. Create before you criticize. I have learned that because I believe that anything that you do, you've really kind of got to do it over and over again to get into the body, to get into the mind, into the spirit. It's not enough to say, oh, I took a herbs class like 15 years ago. Have you practiced it since? If you haven't, it's okay, but pull out that book, pull out the herbs. Create before you criticize. Take the class that's been on your heart. Write that book. That's where I'm leaning to right now. I'm starting school, but I'm also wanting to write a book. Launch the podcast because it's a time to give yourself a platform to shine. So what is it? Are you going to be the president of the After School Association or the Parents Association? Go do it if you feel called. Do you want to take that class? Do you want to start a new path of study? Start it. Start now. People sometimes say, oh, it's too late to start. People have been doing this forever. Who cares? I started doing improv 10 years ago. People have been doing it 30 years. So what? I start when I start. We get to be beginners. We get to allow ourselves to start again and to truly learn. Start painting again, dance, sing, wear that outfit, change your clothes, apply for the grant, audition for something, lead the workshop, tell the story that only you can tell. Play more, laugh more, rest enough to keep your heart open. I got back from Tampa 2 weeks ago, and I'm going to be performing in Harrisburg this coming week with Perra Puta Loca Bruja. And I didn't even touch my play for like 10 days because I need a break. I had to rest enough to keep my heart open, to allow for the edits and the changes to move through. So I want to give you some journal prompts if you want them, and then I want to sign off. So a lot of folks, including me, sometimes give up things along the path of our lives. We give up what we're good at. We give up what we're excited about. Sometimes we give up the things that we care about in order to focus on something else, right? And we have a million reasons for this, right? Like, I'm married, I have kids, I'm going back to school, this is what's happening. So we don't need to explain anything. I know that I gave up performing because I had to succeed in my business, right? And then I would still go back a little bit, but it's only been in the last decade where I've really gone into it fully and reclaimed that part of myself. So it's not about punishment. It's not about sadness. I mean, if it comes up, pay attention to it, allow it to flow. Pero quiero preguntar, what did I love doing before I worried about being good at it? What did I love doing before I worried about being good at it? Where am I seeking approval instead of authenticity? What would I create if no one judged me? Where have I confused visibility with worthiness? And I love this one. What makes me feel most alive? Now, I think that most of the people who listen to me, they know that happiness is an inside job, that it's not just about taking the trips or having the million vacations or having life go our way, that we are also building a life that we don't always need to run away from, right? We want a life that feels good to us. And so taking into account these prompts, especially the one, what makes me feel most alive, and allow that to fill you. Years ago when I used to belly dance, and when I belly dance, I was intense the way I am about anything. I believe that, if you're going to do something, use your whole ass, not a half-ass. Don't half-ass it, whole-ass it. But yet, and still, I don't always deliver an episode all the time. So I had to allow myself that, right? I was like, you have Jupiter and Virgo, girl. Take the critic away. But at the same time, whatever we do, allow ourselves to really feel it, right? Use the whole ass of embodiment. Now, I believe Jupiter in Leo isn't asking us to become louder. It's asking us to really feel our hearts. And I know that could be difficult in a crazy world where everything seems to be upside down. But I invite you into your own heart, into your own creations, into your own love, into your own passion, into your own courage. How do I become more wholehearted? The world doesn't need, yet another business or another brand or for something to look a particular way. It really needs people who are willing to create from the truth of who they are. And whether you're in a home with children, in a community center, in a therapy office, in a classroom, or at your own dining room table, someone in your life is waiting for the light that only you can offer. So over the next year, I invite you to stop asking, will they like me? Will they like it, what I create? And just allow yourself to show up with your whole heart. Also knowing that you could give the most beautiful advice and try to light the way for someone and that they have their own journey. At the same time, when we show up with our whole heart, it sends out this beautiful energetic message that makes other people feel safer to show up with their whole heart and their authenticity. Because when somebody does it, it's like a domino effect where people start to open. And I've recognized that from leading women's circles for 27 years, that's how it happens. The magic happens when somebody's brave enough. And the real blessing of Jupiter in Leo isn't, being well known. It's really the courage to shine. And so I invite you to not lose yourself, to take the time that you need to rest, to assess, and to allow yourself to shine your beautiful light because no one else can shine it the way you do. Mucho amor. Gracias por estar con nosotros.